Claudia Martinez, and I'm just so happy to be here today. Before I get started, Nancy, are we ready to go with the recording and everything?
Yes.
Alrighty then. So once again, hello everyone. My name is Claudia Martinez. I'm a health educator at Breeze, Southern California. And today I'll be talking about something that is very important. Not only will it affect us as adults, but it'll also affect our children and even our community and our environment. And that is the topic of vaping. So before we get started, I do want to talk a little tiny bit about the organization. Breeze, Southern California has been around for well over 100 years. I know, a long time, but we have developed a lot of programs and services that address Southern California's serious air quality and lung-related public health challenges. Our mission is really to promote clean air and healthy lungs through research, education, advocacy, and finally, technology. So what is vaping? So the proper definition of vaping is the act of inhaling an aerosol created by an electronic cigarette or an e-cig or other vaping devices. E-cigarettes or vaping products can be used to deliver nicotine, cannabis, and that includes THC and CBD, different flavorings, chemicals, and other substances. Now, just a little recap on the history of vaping. It actually started back in 2000, where a Chinese pharmacist by the name of Hong Ling actually created this device in order to create, and look at my hands, a healthier alternative. The thing is that this product was turned around so quickly because Big Tobacco saw the potential of it. They noticed that their consumers were dying down. They noticed that people noticed that their products are bad. But with this product, this different delivery of nicotine and other substances, they thought this is a great opportunity to promote our products and our merchandise and everything. So now that it's an electronic cigarette, a lot of people are thinking, oh, it's healthy for me, it's fine. There's no tobacco, there's no nicotine, there's nothing like that. It's water vapor. And in reality, it's actually more different, more complex, and every day we're learning something different about it. And the unfortunate part is because of this misconception that it is a healthy alternative, a lot of adults who have never smoked in their lives, children, they're actually starting this behavior because they weren't given the right information. But by attending here today, this workshop, you will know a lot about this topic. You can provide awareness to the community, and hopefully we can all prevent a new generation of smokers. So let's start about the evolution of e-cigarettes. So something that you need to know when it comes to e-cigarettes is that there are two types. We have the cartridge style and the refillable tank. And in this presentation, I will be demonstrating some devices that I have today. So when it comes to the cartridge style, you can really think about a jewel. So for example, this would be a cartridge style. What happens here is that basically the consumer will buy a little cartridge that contains the nicotine, utilize it, and once they're done, buy another one, never-ending cycle. The second one would be refillable tank. As you can see here, this is a refillable tank. The difference about it is that the consumer actually has to purchase a different product, and that would be the e-juice, as you can see right here. I will be demonstrating what an e-juice is, what chemicals are inside and everything, but that's just pretty much the two different types when it comes to e-cigarettes. Now, there has been an evolution when it comes to e-cigarettes. We have first, second gen, third, and finally fourth. The first gen was actually the first product e-cigarette made by Hong Ling, and it was supposed to mimic a traditional cigarette because it was supposed to help people be a healthy alternative, but it ended up not being that. So basically with the first generation, it's only used one time, it was disposable, it's not rechargeable or refillable. Now we go on to the second generation. The second generation is a vape pen. So this could be an example of it. So basically, it's a rechargeable type of e-cigarette, and it is designed obviously to be used more than once. And the thing is that because of this design that you can actually take it apart, a lot of consumers, specifically youth, they find it very appealing just because they can add more chemicals, more substances inside. And that's the really dangerous part, because they're not realizing that they are playing with a lot of chemicals with this. The third generation would be a mod and tank, and I do have an example here. This is a mod. Please excuse the tan beige in the middle. It's my green screen in the back. But as you can see, the modern tank has a different design. It looks like a toy, but in reality, it's not. It's more attractive for individuals who have more experience with smoking, just because it can control the temperature, the density of the smoke, how much power they're utilizing in every puff. And you might recognize these products a little bit more. So for example, if you're driving down the 405 and you see this big puffy cloud coming out of a car, you might think, oh my God, the car is on fire. It's not, it's actually probably someone smoking one of these devices. And lastly, we have the fourth generation, which is a cartridge style. You can think of Juul, Surin, all these other different types, because that's where the hype is going. Fourth generation, now it's expanding to just a more discreet design. So it is the same style as a cartridge style. However, because a lot of people are trying to utilize it, these corporations are noticing, like, the kids are using it. They're not supposed to use it. We're going to make our designs a little bit more discreet. So this would be an example. This is actually a Surin. Surin is a corporation that is very well known to keep all of their vaping devices a little bit more secretive. So as you can see, these are two examples. We have Surin Drop and Surin Air. Surin Air, a lot of parents mistake it as a little container to hold the lead pencils or even a tape recorder, while Surin Drop, a lot of people, adults, parents, whoever, they confuse this device as a water flavor droplet. But pretty much this is the evolution of cigarettes, and we're still seeing more. And as of right now, we have been seeing more of a disposable type of e-cigarette. So for example, puff bars are the big hype right now during the pandemic, and also cloudy. And the thing is that these corporations are really targeting the youth, because they know if they start at a young age, they will have a consumer for the rest of their lives. Now, I just kind of want to clarify the common features. I know it was overwhelming to see all those designs and information, but just know that every vape, every cigarette has the same components. Basically, they need a mouthpiece, a cartridge that contains the nicotine, the atomizer, that's what heats up the nicotine, and the e-juice, everything like that. Of course, the on and off button, and finally the battery. Now, when it comes to the amount of nicotine, it just got really crazy, especially when it comes to policies and government. When it comes to traditional cigarettes, we have noticed that there was a cap. Already the government said, you know what, too much nicotine, we need to regulate this. So by around the 1950s, if I'm correct, the 1950s, there was a regulation that pretty much stated that any pack of cigarettes cannot pass 20 milligrams. So already that's like the baseline of it. However, because these are new products, e-cigarettes, they don't really qualify under traditional cigarettes, and that's their little loophole. They have been taking advantage of that, and now they're putting more nicotine in these products in order to get their consumers to be hooked on it. So for example, with one pack of cigarette, you have 20 milligrams of nicotine, but with one Juul pod, which would be this, you have 41.3 milligrams of nicotine. Fix is a different type of brand when it comes to e-cigarettes, but I can demonstrate the difference in size. This is a Fix. A Fix pod can have 75 milligrams of nicotine, and as you can see, the sizes are pretty different. And lastly, we have Surin. This is a great example of a Surin device. And this is where the e-juice would be. And it can hold up to 90 milligrams of nicotine. And the thing is that because of the misconception, a lot of people, a lot of consumers are not aware of how much nicotine are inside these products. So I've been seeing a lot of consumers doubling on their pods. And each pod can contain at least 200 puffs. And there's some people that actually finish 2 pods in one day. Addiction is not the most friendliest thing in the world. Now, something I do want to address, if you learned something from anything from this presentation, please know that whatever comes out of these devices, it's not harmless water vapor. It's not water vapor at all. I am here to make it clear, it's actually aerosol. Now, aerosol contains at least 10 chemicals on the California Prop 65 list that are absolutely, by a fact, known to cause cancer, birth defects, and other reproductive harm. And it's not that it just came out of nowhere. We have been doing a lot of studies for a really, really long time in order to get this information. Now, as we know, when it comes to traditional cigarettes, we know firsthand smoke and secondhand smoke because of all the studies we've been doing. So with e-cigarettes, we have firsthand, secondhand, and thirdhand. So just a recap on what that means. Firsthand, it pretty much means the individual that is actually smoking. This secondhand means that the smoke will affect the people around the smoker. Third hand, which applies to e-cigarettes, it actually means that everything that you see in the air, it just doesn't disappear. All the molecules, everything will just come down on any surface. So it doesn't matter if you're outside or in your room in a safe place, these molecules won't just disappear. And the thing is that every single day we're finding out new chemicals that are associated with e-cigarettes. And sometimes these molecules are can actually become carcinogens. So if they're exposed to direct sunlight, they can actually become a carcinogen, which is a cancer-causing molecule. Now, signs and symptoms, a lot of parents tell me, okay, Claudia, this is a lot of information. I'm scared. And I really don't want to scare you. The purpose of this presentation is really to educate and empower our community that we can do something to protect the youth and the future. So pretty much a lot of people ask me, okay, so what are the signs and symptoms? How would I know? Like, I need some fast tips. I got you. So some evidence of vaping can be the artificial sweet smell. And I can use an example on my personal life on this. So basically this sweet smell, it resembles that sweet smell that you smell near a bakery. It's so sweet, it's nice. But the difference is that it disappears really quickly. So for example, I went to the park. I was so excited. I smelled some churros. I was ready to take out my money. And it turns out that it was someone smoking a donut smell. So once I passed over, I didn't smell anything anymore. But once I got close to the individual, just passing by, I could smell that sweet smell. So basically that smell will stay on the smoker, on their clothes, their hair, their skin. You will smell it. Dry nose and dry mouth, that is associated with a specific chemical called propylene glycol. It's in e-cigarettes, and basically what happens is it removes all the moisture. So a lot of vapors, they actually have a lot of nosebleeds, and it's because of that specific chemical. Now with the dry mouth, they have vapor tongue, and what that means is that they can't feel their taste buds for a good while. It can be from 2 hours to a day. It really just depends how many times they are vaping constantly. But the most obvious evidence of someone vaping in your household would be discarded pods, unfamiliar pens, chargers, USB drives. I know a lot of people are confused. Ooh, I should use another example. I know a lot of people are confused with the USBs. That's something a little bit more difficult for parents. And I always highly recommend that you just look every now and then what these vaping devices look like, because they always change. That's the thing. Now, harmful impacts of vaping, let's start with the brain development. When it comes to our teens, our youth, they're growing every single day. And because they're utilizing these type of devices, they're introducing a lot of substances that will affect their brain development. So changing the way the synapses are formed, addiction, mood disorders, reduction of impulse control, and even damages when it comes to controlling their emotions, learning, and critical thinking. And obviously that will have a great effect when it comes to classes and being in school. Now, when it comes to vaping and lung health, that is, of course, a dangerous thing as well. With COVID-19, of course, we've been going through this. The pandemic has been horrible, not only on just like our social life, but also just that fear. And when it comes to vapors, they're highly more likely to get a positive test when it comes to COVID. Now, with vapes, there are a lot of different chemicals that destroy the defenses that we have in our lungs, making it very, very likely for them to get COVID-19 just because they don't have those proper defenses. E-Valley was something that was really huge back in October and November of 2019. A lot of people, specifically adults under the age of 25, were going to the hospital because they were vaping. And symptoms include shortness of breath, cough, fever, chills, fast heart beats, but also death. And that was the most concerning part because they didn't know how this was happening. And the thing is that we're learning every day. Long-term use of vapes and e-cigarettes increase the risk of respiratory diseases such as asthma, COPD, and cancer. But the thing is that the consumers that we're seeing today, we're going to learn from them, and hopefully we can prevent a new generation of vapors. Now, I do want to talk about cannabis or marijuana. It is the second most widely used substance among youth behind alcohol. Marijuana refers to dry leaves, flower stems, and they're basically seeds of a cannabis plant. Now, there is a lot of different types of strains, and I won't get into that just because it is overwhelming, but I do want you to know what is THC. Now, THC is the one that is most frequently used when it comes to youth, and that is the specific substance that has over 500 different chemicals that affect an individual specifically on physical impacts. A lot of youth are using these devices, these chemicals, just to get away from their reality, especially now. We are living in a unique time, but we just need to be supportive and let our youth know that there are other different alternatives to relieving stress. And I will get into that as well. When it comes to cannabis, marijuana, here are some implications when it comes to mentally. Short term would be altering senses, impaired body movement, difficulty of thinking and problem solving. And sometimes long-term impacts can include difficulty maintaining attention that can affect school, impaired coordination, and problems with memory and learning. Now, the physical impacts is completely different. Let's start with lung health. Of course, that smoke is just so hard and harsh for our body that it can irritate our lungs. And sometimes there could be some type of lesion just because of just because of the consumer actually coughing so much. Of course, increased heart rate. It can last up to 3 hours, but sometimes people are, of course, every person is different. So it could be more, it could be less. And lastly, high levels of THC. A lot of reports show that symptoms include nervousness, shaking, psychosis, hallucination, and more. So it's really important that we don't even encourage behavior like this. Now, why do teens vape? I did introduce that in the last slide, and it's something really important, especially for our teens. Our teens think that these devices are safe for them. They see it on different platforms such as TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, wherever. A lot of people have been promoting it, but not really noticing the effects of it. They use it as a coping skill to just forget about what's going on in real life. And as the adults in their lives, we have to be so supportive, and we have to tell them that this is not the most appropriate coping mechanism that they can have right now. And it's really important for them to have alternative solutions, such as yoga, talking to a friend. I know it's so hard, but this behavior is not the solution. So make sure that you check on your child's well-being. Now, I do want to talk about other reasons why they may be involved in this behavior. It's not always about stress, but it's also the influences that they may have around them. So for example, it could be personal relationships. So it could be mom, dad, brother, sister, uncle, Tom, Aunt Becky, whoever. If they see a role model that is utilizing these devices, they're going to think, oh, if Aunt Becky can do it, then it should be safe for me. So we just need to be a good example for the youth in our lives. Also, flavor options. Like I said, these corporations, they know who they're selling these devices to. So they're making it more, attractive. So as of right now, there are over 15,000 different flavors on the market right now. Take that in, 15,000. I am not joking. And it revolves around different things that we see every day, such as donut, watermelon. Sometimes they even target specific groups. Like personally, I am Latina, I'm a Salvadorian, and I grew up with horchata. I found an horchata flavor a few days ago. There's also churros. There is everything, including unicorn. Unicorn is exactly like, it's just like they want the kids to use these devices. That's the main thing. Also, another reason why an individual may participate in this behavior is because of that belief that it's harmless. It really isn't. Please let whoever know that these devices are not, like, they're not harmless. They're dangerous. They're completely dangerous. Accessibility, we're going to discuss that in the next slide. Affordability. For one vape pen, specifically Juul, it can cost $7. $7 for this device. And if you want a starter kit, which contains the vape pen, a charger, and 3 little cartridges, that's $64.99. And yeah, you may think, oh, $64.99, where is a child going to have that money? These corporations actually do discounts. So for whatever reason, they always have a sale. So recently, what was the most recent holiday? We had April Fool's. They had an April Fool's discount. The one I saw that was just really rude was the president's discount. Yeah, they want people to buy their devices. And the thing is that they always have a sale or a promotion that's saying, if you buy one and refer a friend, you'll get 30% off. So they're always just trying to get them. And lastly, celebrity influences could be another way how an individual would be introduced to these devices. Now, ease of access. There are 3 main ways in how teens actually get these devices. For one, it would be older adults. Now, this includes parents, friends, cousins, whoever, an adult in their life, as long as they're 21. Easily, they can go to the store, buy it, and then secondhand sell the devices if they really wanted to. Retail locations would be the second place. Now, tobacco and vape shops have the highest rate of underage sales compared to other tobacco retailers. Now, what I'm saying about that is that basically a young girl or a young boy can go in with a fake ID, buy the devices, and just go on their merry way. It just happens like that. It really does. And lastly, the most popular one as of right now would be online purchases. The youth, all they need is Wi-Fi, a credit card, and then a computer or a mobile device. And then boom, they're 94% successful in purchasing over millions, thousands of vaping devices online. So it's really important to just monitor, check in on your teens or students purchasing online. Now, when it comes to disposal and the environment, these devices are not environment friendly, anything like that. So because there are no manufacturing regulations or anything like that for these devices, they're poorly made. And of course, there are a lot of reports when it comes to individual harm. For example, these devices may spontaneously combust out of nowhere. It has happened before. And also e-liquids. E-liquids is something that I really wanted to bring up. So as you can see here, e-liquid is this. It comes in a nice packaging and everything. But the thing is that e-liquids can become fatal. Now to the consumer, they know what they need to do when it comes to an e-liquid. However, if a 5-year-old were to see a packaging like this with a Sour Patch Kid, something that they recognize, they're gonna think, oh, it's just a little milkshake candy, it's smoothie, it's fine. They'll think something else. They're very innocent. And unfortunately, that has resulted in some fatalities in the United States. So it's really important to not even have these devices in the home. Disposal of devices, that is something very important. I know a lot of parents are active after the presentation. They tell me, Claudia, I saw it and I picked it up and I threw it out. That was it. That's great. However, there is a specific way on disposing these devices. For one, please always wear gloves in handling these devices, just because one, like I said, they're poorly made. And at times they just decide to crack. So for example, this is my least favorite one. This device actually started spilling out in one of my presentations, and luckily I had a glove near me. I was perfectly fine. But the thing is that the skin is not a tough barrier against nicotine and all the other chemicals within an e-cigarette. So please always wear gloves or have a bag in hand. And if you can, transport it to a hazardous waste disposal site. That is the best way that you can actually get rid of it. If you throw it in the trash, in the sink, in the toilet, I've heard it all. It's really bad for the environment. And that's just, we need to take care of our earth. We only have one. So yes, pretty much please take it to a hazardous waste disposal site, or you could also take it to Breeze, Southern California. We know what to do with these devices, and we can actually take it to a waste disposal site. I know there are some organizations nearby as well doing that, but I can provide a link to that specific disposal site. There's always a site near an individual. They're everywhere pretty much. Now, combating the issue in California, we have been doing a lot. We have been progressing, and here are the 4 main regulations that we have been seeing in California. So we have Prop 56, which raised the tax on cigarettes by $2, and basically all the profits that come from that specific tax goes into education. So pretty much we're preventing a new generation of smokers, whether it's traditional cigarettes or even e-cigarettes. The legal age was raised in 2016. So before it was 18 that you can actually buy these devices. But when the government has been saying like, oh, a lot of students and kids are actually buying these devices, we got to do something. Boom, they raised it. Senate Bill 39 is actually really good. It restricts the sale of e-cigarettes through the Postal Service. So what this means is that 2 things need to happen. One, when someone buys these devices online, the packaging has to have a label saying that there are dangerous chemicals, there is a vaping product, be careful. It lets the carrier know, for one, to be careful with the package, but also to obtain a signature from someone who is 21 and up. So if that were the case, if let's say a 15-year-old were to buy a product through the internet, and their packaging comes, the postal man or woman needs to wait until someone gets a signature, until they get the signature. Now, if that doesn't happen, the package goes back to the Postal Service and it either stays there or someone has to pick it up. And lastly, the most strictest regulation that we saw in the nation, it's actually Beverly Hills. Beverly Hills banned the sale of tobacco products in their city. Incredible. And it all started with concerned mothers, teachers, directors, everything. They brought it up to the council, and then boom, Beverly Hills doesn't allow any tobacco products, and that includes traditional cigarettes, e-cigarettes, hookah, anything you may think of. It's gone. It's so great. However, of course, some of the residents in Beverly Hills could just easily go to downtown LA, buy the stuff and go back home. Although it's a great regulation, however, there's still work to be done. And we need to apply that specific regulation in all of California, in my opinion. So basically, what can you do as leaders of your community, as concerned parents, everything? There's so much you can do because your voice really does matter. And here are some easy ways that you can do it. One, find your local tobacco control coalition. Also contact your local health department to have more information and hold retail stores accountable. Now, during the pandemic, they were not supposed to be open, but unfortunately they were actually open. So they had sales and stuff. So hold them accountable. Sometimes they're not even supposed to be open even right now. Talk about smoke-free policies. Now it could be in school, at your work, wherever. It's really important to just talk about it. And you could even talk about it with your property managers, principal, city council. It's just important to keep that conversation going. And lastly, be an advocate within your circle. Anything, like whether it's like one conversation with your mom or one conversation with your friend, it could ignite a big, huge chain, and it could lead into a new cool, pretty much advocacy portion. Now, lastly, I do want to talk about how to talk to your kids about vaping. A lot of parents just don't know where to start. So before the talk, get to know the facts, find credible information such as the CDC. They know everything about vaping, and be ready for questions. The second step is to be patient and be ready to listen. This is a new topic for some kids. It's a really kind of awkward thing, but just keep an open conversation, avoid criticism, and make sure that you're just listening to them so you can know what's going on. Now, starting the conversation, just use open-ended questions like, what do you think about vaping? Has anyone ever pressured you in vaping? And set clear expectations. This is not a behavior that anyone should be utilizing at all. And it's really important to just express to your kids that these devices are not safe. And lastly, if you're not sure where to begin, it's okay. You can always ask for support. Talk to your doctor. You can talk to me. I'm at Breathe Southern California, always here to support you. And of course, we'll get this through. But pretty much right here, the slide is all the tools and resources that you can have. Feel free to take a picture of it. This is all valid information. And also, before you go, thank you so much for participating in this webinar. I know we have that little Zoom fatigue, but if you take this survey, you can have a chance to win a free gift card. Yay, we love free stuff, right? So all you have to do is just get your phone, take a picture of that QR code that you see on the screen right there. Or if you don't want to do that, it's okay. You can always just visit that website link that you see right there below. And pretty much this is the end of the presentation. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. I know it was a lot of information, but I am here to answer any questions, comments, or concerns. I'm always here for you, and thank you so much.
Thanks, Claudia. Actually, I couldn't take a picture of that screen before.
Ooh, let me go back. This one?
Oh, the one before with the resources?
Oh, perfect, right here.
Thank you.
No problem. And also, I do want to mention when it comes to tools and resources, there are some links down below. It talks about teen stress and mental health. There's always a teen crisis hotline, the American Psychology Association to help teens with managing stress, child welfare, and teen mental health. We got to take care of our teens' mental health. This was last year, and a bit of this year. It's pretty difficult on them, so we just got to support them. So if there are any questions, I am here to help you.